All right, everyone, you are in for a treat. Because what did we decide to talk about today? But all of a sudden it occurred to me color, the big, bold subject of color. And Ms. Shelley Atwood, who does amazing polymer clay work with color palettes extraordinaire, decided she would come and be willing to talk to us about color. And one of the things I had talked to both Patrick and Shelley about beforehand is people's fear of color, people thinking they're not creative and they can't work with color, or as Shelley said to me, they're color blind. But here's the thing. It takes some training and some science and some learning about it. It is something to study. Would you agree with me, Patrick and Shelley?
Indeed, indeed.
So
Yes.
tell me, Shelley, your journey through starting with color, what it was like.
When I first started working with polymer clay, I thought this is the medium for me because it came in all these colors, and I thought that was the thing to do. And I got into it, and then I realized I really liked texture, and so I played with color all along. But then I met my friend Joan at a retreat in like 2019, and I think the following year she started working on color and creating a tutorial and all this stuff. And she was sending me all of the tutorial all along so I could proofread it and say, that makes sense, that does. And so, of course, I got to learn all of this stuff from her while she was creating this tutorial. So that was, it was really eye-opening. And now I can't say that I know a lot about color. There are so many others who know so much more, but I'm really comfortable in that space now.
Well, do you remember the first thing that you went, huh, I didn't know that when you were reading about color? You know, when something really sticks out that's like a, wow, I didn't
Yeah,
know
I
that.
don't know if this was with when because of Joan or if it was before that, but the thing that really sticks out to me is how when I first started working with polymer clay, I got out my red and my blue clay and I was going to make some purple, and you don't get purple. You get something not
Muddy?
so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like a surprise from,
Yeah. Yeah. And I
yeah.
kept doing it like, okay, what's wrong with this clay? No, well, it was me.
Did you ever get the purple you wanted?
Yeah, eventually I found the magenta, and then yeah, good.
Well, it is a science. That's what's a good thing. It's, and then you can get into how it influenced you and then find your own color palette.
Right.
I had a funny thing happen with color, what you were just saying. As you can see, my hair has a like a blue tint to it, purpley
Mhm.
lavender. Well, when the pandemic hit, um, I let my hair grow out. I've been dyeing my hair brown my whole life. I never thought about it. I gave it up. Then I bought the shampoo that says for gray hair. Why for gray hair? Because evidently gray hair can have yellow in it. I'm like,
Mm,
okay, okay. So I put it on. My hair was already very cold gray on the blue
mm,
side, but it made it bluer. And then I'm looking at it going, well, of course, it's the opposite end of the color wheel is that. So whatever that's in there, it wasn't a dye, but it's something that reflects with the light in there. Of course, it made mine even bluer because it's the opposite end of the color wheel from the yellow and warm they're talking about. And I thought, and there's the color wheel at work, even on my hair.
indeed. Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that it's really color is a science that way. Now, through your journey, did you start finding the color palettes that spoke to you the most, or what was the lesson learned?
Yeah, I think that I've always been attracted to the kind of earth tones
Hmm.
and then maybe jewel tone
Hmm.
accents. That
Hmm.
that's totally me. And so I was mixing those things intuitively. But one of the things that this little uh, thing that Joan put together did for me was it made those colors repeatable. So I could get the
Mm.
exact color over and over again, which wasn't all that important to me until I started needing to do production. And, when you're advertising that something is this color, it better be the same color as you tell it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice to have a system that helps you achieve that repeatable color over and over.
Okay, that's a very important part. Do you keep really accurate notes for all your mixing then?
Well, sort of. Again, I'm using her process, and she developed this little thing where, in fact, I think I have one right here. These little color lines. Pull it out here. So the way it works is you get these. This is all clay.
Oh,
Yeah. So you use these are like
Oh, that's
inch
cool.
steps, and you may not want exactly this color, but it might be right in between
yeah,
these,
yeah, yeah,
and then you can kind of hone in on it.
yeah.
So yeah. And then if I'm making like a whole series of things that I need to have an exact color, then yes, I'll make a little swatch like that and put the ratio of the colors on
The
there so that I
ratio.
can have it to repeat over and over. Yeah.
Very
And
smart. Is that
yeah.
is that a thing that you can purchase, or did you make that with her
Well,
system?
actually, yeah, Joan has these for sale on her website. She also has like copies of them, so they're not necessarily in clay, but that also
Ah,
helps, so that you don't have to make all these yourself. So see, this is like a whole bunch of the,
it's like our
Yeah.
old PMS guide charts.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's real, but it's really helpful to do it yourself because you learn a lot more
Yeah,
about the colors,
yeah.
like which ones have legs and which ones are kind of the ones that are just going to poop out after a couple of sections of another color are mixed with it. So
All right, wait
it's
a minute. What did you just say when a color has legs? What do you mean?
well, let's see if I can find one like that. For example, here's a really good way to show if it has legs. If you mix white with it, you can
Oh,
see how, so this one is, oh, let's see. This is probably one white with one magenta. And you can see how strong that is. But when you get down here, this looks kind of like white.
got it.
And this is, of course, with yellow. So yellow isn't a very strong color in anybody's clay, or probably most mediums for that matter. But yeah, so that's what I mean by legs.
So that's great. That's like for polymer clay, a PMS or an old PMS chart when we used to call out PMS numbers, and it would give you all that breakdown and how it changed, adding a little more white or a little more yellow or whatever in the CYMK breakdown. And so that's interesting. Patrick, what's your go-to color palette?
Oh gosh. You know, I, I get tempted by a lot of different things, but as Shelley was saying, that the jewel tones I really gravitate towards, and anything that's sort of rich and sort of lush.
That's true. You are.
Like
Yeah.
the dark greens and things like that. But but then I see other people's work and I'm like, wow, look what Shelley did. That's great. Look at that color. That's really interesting. And so it sort of, nudges me to explore more things, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but I got to stay within my palette. So, but the and color is amazing. That's all I can say. There's a book by Johan Itten,
Hmm.
and The Theory of Color, and it's
Hmm.
really fantastic book, and
Hmm.
you should check that out if you're really really into the color. But the
I think I have it right over
I
there
do.
somewhere. But you know what my color palette is? Silver.
uh,
Just saying when I think about it. I've gone through a few, but it's definitely the silver. But I think also what's interesting is how people unconsciously recognize other people's work because of how they mix color and
Oh
what they put.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I love that underlying unconscious, and you recognize the person's work, which to me is also symbolic of they're obviously balancing and mixing it a similar way and a way that's appealing because it speaks to you just emotionally, the color palette. And that's one of the things I also love about color that way, and how different artists work with different color palettes. Uh, I think there is a science behind it, which I think is fascinating. Um, I was saying earlier before we started, learning to paint your own color wheel to learn stuff was laborious, and I never want to do it again. But that's how you learn when things are opposite on the color wheel. And what's the word when they're next to each other?
Analogous.
Yes,
Analogous.
analogous. And then when they are, isn't there one more word? There's a cross and next to
Try.
Hang on.
Uh,
Let
that. Thank you. Thank you.
let's see. What are we calling these? There's the
tertiary
triads
colors.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, it's not
The-
jumping out at me, but
It's
oh,
but
here
what
we go. We have complementary colors, split
complementary, right?
complementaries,
That's
triads,
opposite
and
though, right?
tetrads. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Complementary is
mean,
opposite on the color wheel, but next to each other is analogous.
right, right.
Okay.
Right. But that's what's fascinating is it's a real science. It's not just, oh, that's a pretty color. There's all of that that goes with it to create an effect. Um, you were talking about before also, Shelley, about working with people who want to start playing and making things. And what did you say? They're colorblind. I don't see color.
Yeah, I think about a student that we had at one time, and she said that her husband accused
Oh,
her of being colorblind. And I just kind of think that it was because he didn't enjoy the same palette as she did.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, and I think you just need to learn how to trust your own taste and expand on that. If you know, if you feel limited, certainly you can expand on it. But yeah, it's color is so personal. I mean,
Because it actually does speak to you. I'm just looking in front of me on my desk, and here's one color palette of things I have. He sings Christmas, but then I have lots of minions and I love it. It makes me happy. But I also have a dozen of English china pieces in all of that color palette, which makes me very happy and a whole different color palette. And they all blend, even though they're all English, not the same ceramic factory, but they all have that look. So I think that's another way of really noticing how you look at color by what do you collect in front of you that you need to see, because
and your
it will create
clothes,
say that again.
your clothing.
Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, just go to your closet and there it is.
there you go. Yeah, a good point. But it will create and affect your mood.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You know,
I wouldn't say that color can is life changing necessarily, but it can definitely pick things up a little bit. If you're
oh,
wearing black all the time, you're probably going to be dragging.
or haven't you walked into, I know this happens to me, walk into a space that you're supposed to stay or meet or have dinner and go, I can't stay in here. But if you broke it down, it's because of the mix of color and light that are going on in there. I know most people I know are very sensitive to it. It's like, I can't, I got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's very powerful, is what I'm saying, as far as what it is effect. I know one of the things I'm sure I heard it in art school and I mentioned before was people could design fast food places with colors and furniture that makes you want to eat fast and leave. You don't
Yeah.
know it,
Yeah.
but you do
The
it.
reds and yellows,
Yeah.
like what
Now, see, I
McDonald's
thought
used
that
to be.
reds was the color that made you want to eat. Is that not true?
That's, yeah, I think that's
Oh,
more
okay.
aggressive sort of,
Yeah.
color. And it makes you eat fast, though,
Okay.
so that, they can get out and serve the next person, right?
Right, right, right. It's
It's
all
the
those things. And
psychology.
if you go in there and try it, you'll find out it's true. You'll experience it. Um, I was privy to someone who works in our nation's security, and they have to work 24 hours a day, kind of around the clock, weird hours. And the only picture they could show me was a formal one. Yes, it's all dark and there's no natural light, but they had a blue purplish light going around the whole perimeter of the just below the ceiling because it's supposed to mimic and keep you awake somehow. And I thought, that's something I
Hmm.
hadn't heard, but I just found it also interesting that a color, and it would have a vibrancy or whatever when you're measuring light, would do something like that. I thought
Yeah,
about putting
yeah.
it on in here to see 'cause that could be a good thing.
Because you need
Well,
to be more awake.
now that you mention that they talk about blue light as being bad for sleeping. So
Yeah.
that
There you
would
go.
kind of,
There you
yeah,
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
So
our
I'm not
computers,
crazy. Yep.
some
There you
of our
go.
computers have the,
right.
the filter that comes on at,
Right.
whatever time you set it for it. It makes it a little bit yellowish, right?
Right. Which
So
I
there
don't
you
like
go.
because I like color, so I want them all to be true. So apparently that's
Right.
why I'm not sleeping as long as I'd like to.
See
I
how
go
we,
so far, make sure I don't even have the tinted lenses, for, my glasses because that can
Right.
really affect color as well. It's like, okay.
or if you've been in color forever, I take a fun little break when I'm working in Photoshop, and then I go through all the filters, which are takeoff of all the filters we used to screw on the camera lens,
Mm.
but go through it all to watch all the changes and to see, what the warm filter does with the 22 cold, blah, 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 to see all the changes and possibilities, but then to see which one speaks to you the most that you want to use because it's a comforting feeling or whatever it does, adding natural light in there. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a interesting science all the way around, certainly with making jewelry and working with color that way. Uh, now, did you, when you started, Shelley, well, you weren't, like you said, you mixed red and blue and wondered why you didn't get purple. So you weren't aware yet of what your color palette would be. Like, how did you finally find that? Because it's evident your style in your work. So was there a time when you realized, no, I can feel this is what I need to do that's me, not that?
I would I was living in Houston when I started working on polymer clay, unlike Alpine, which is the middle of nowhere. I actually lived in a big city at one time. And but I was really attracted to deserty kind of
Oh,
stuff. I guess having gone to Santa Fe and I felt that whole vibe and I tried to bring that back to Houston and that's probably where it started or how it started was Santa Fe.
so that's interesting because I remember I was designing jewelry and was influenced by that when Santa Fe hit New York City. So we're talking about in the 80s somewhere.
Yeah.
And we were all into that. So, and I designed silver pieces that were sold downtown that were takeoffs of different kind of cactus skeletons and erosion
Mhm.
patterns and all of that kind of thing. Um, and but then to me, that was a place that moved through. Like, I think sometimes we get into what's in or current or happening, and we jump on that bandwagon to follow along that way. And then you sort of go to the next thing that influenced you. And, it always cracked me up how who always it wasn't Pantone that introduced the color, but in the fashion world, they would tell you like if it was right now, they're telling you the color of 2027. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's that far
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. And I understood it was for manufacturers to start making things, but I'm
Right.
like,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Well, they
and
do have the color forecast, right? Doesn't Pantone
exactly.
still do the color?
Well, they
And
did. You saw it this year, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
What is it called? Snow cloud or something? It's like off
Oh
white.
gosh, yes, it was
Yeah, it's some kind of cloud dancer.
Cloud dancer.
Cloud
Yeah.
Dancer. Yeah, yeah.
I want to
Controversial.
I want to be in the meeting when they decided, let's screw around with them this year and do off white.
Right.
Really, it feels like a psyop, doesn't it?
Yes. It was, well, in the world of, comedy and everything at this point, I did a wood color. Yeah. I mean, what were they thinking? Obviously, that one blows me away. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a little bit mystified at that, and I thought, well, surely they knew what they were doing.
they did. They had, yeah,
Surely they knew that people were going to say, "What?"
right.
But
Or,
it's getting us talking about it, and it's getting us thinking about that color in
yeah,
terms
that's
of,
true.
where is that color?
But
That it actually is a color. Because to me, it was more
yeah.
like a neutral, right?
Well, yes, I agree. Yeah.
And I've only seen it on the computer screen. I don't even know if it's a warm white or a cool white, to be honest with you, because,
Yeah.
we don't have color corrected really screens anymore. So
No,
it's,
but since it's a cloud, clouds contain water, so that's kind of bluish.
I'm going with you. I
Okay.
agree. I'm
Yeah,
looking at
I'm just
one.
making this up as I'm
I'm
going
looking at
along.
you right there. Yeah. Cloud. That one really cracked me up about, and usually, that means So now everyone making clothes, maybe they put it out because companies are having a hard time finding dye for their materials or something. So they made it easy for them. But something is like, I wish I would have been in that meeting, is all I can
Right,
say,
right.
to hear the reasoning behind that.
And that's for the whole year, right? That's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah,
seasonal thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
imagine the person who said, I have an idea.
I know.
And how much
I
courage
know.
that took to
I
say
know.
in a meeting, right?
Yeah. I wish we had all been there just to go, let's go, and then we'll call it Cloud Dancer. I mean,
Right.
yeah, that definitely cracks me up. And then we'll see how it influences. What was it this past year? Wasn't it a purple this past year, I think? It was something much more outrageous. Maybe they got bad feedback on a bright color or something. But it'll be interesting to see how that affects us. I think we're all using a neutral, so we won't notice, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's very funny. Well, now, both of you, what would be, Shelley first, what would be your idea of the best way for people to get to feel more comfortable with the color that they're working with, creating a color palette?
Yeah, especially for people who are afraid of color, I think that the best way to do it is to use some other, brighter or more daring color as an accent.
Mm,
And it can feel almost rebellious to use this tiny little, dot of color, but it's a real easy way to break into color and start to feel more comfortable with
that's a good
color.
point. A way to feel more comfortable, right? Because you have to get through the comfort level in
Yeah,
order to develop your style,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
And that little tiny dot, because of its color, can be just as impactful as a whole entire
Yeah.
piece.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's really just mind-boggling with the colors. I think that for me, it's like you know, uh, open open your eyes and start looking at the world around you with a critical color eye. And when you're outside and you see that, oh yeah, leaves are green. Well, there's a lot of different colors of green if you really look at it, right? And what color combinations do flowers have, and why do they look like that? The center of the flower is going to be darker, and the rest of it is going to be a different color, and it could be multiple colors. And those color combinations that we see in nature, we can just use those, and you know, there's your palette. You know, the the I'm thinking about my apartment now that has the Santa Fe style back in the '80s, which had this almost like a pale terracotta color, like a,
Mm.
a pink terracotta. And I was in it. I had the cactus, I had this, I had everything. It was like that was the thing. But it was an easy thing to pick up, and the colors were exactly what they needed to be and easy to
Hmm.
understand,
Hmm.
and I don't know,
It
it's
was
just
new and
interesting.
exciting too.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
We weren't aware of that palette yet. Um, yeah, I think that I I don't know where I heard this exercise, but a billion years ago, but I thought it was a good one. Just work with one color to start with as your main color. Like I'm only going to do stuff in red, and then only add accents to just as an exercise. If you play with one color, what does it look like when you only add little things? I thought that was always a really fun exercise. And then more where you were saying, Patrick, I don't know how many hundreds of pictures on my phone that are just because I saw something outside. It could have been mud and branches, but it's for a color palette that I fell in love with, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, food on a plate or cleared food on a plate, or, it doesn't matter. It's just like, oh my God, look at that color palette kind of thing. And then take a picture of it and why did it appeal to me and saving it to use it another time. So I think that's a great way to get comfortable with color as well, is let
Yeah.
yourself look
Yeah.
and love. I mean,
There's
certainly,
an app that's out there, and I wish I knew the name of it. Of course, now I'm gonna go around a blank. But you take a picture, and it will diagnose what the
oh
main
yeah,
colors
oh
are,
yeah,
and to put it into a
Oh yeah.
swatch.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah, I think
great.
that'd be a great tool for people who aren't
Yeah,
comfortable with creating their own palette is
yeah,
something like that. They find a picture that you like or
yep.
your clothing or whatever. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I forget. I had that app for a while. I have it now, but it was good for that. And it broke down all the colors it found in there.
Hmm.
Um, really designing things online. I forget which program I've been using, but it'll say to me when I'm picking type color or something what I want to add, it'll pull up all the colors in the photo or the art right there if I want to use a color that's already existing.
Oh,
Now that becomes a design thing. Do you want it to blend? Do you want it to pop? So then you get into all of those other things as well. But there's a lot of help out there to figure things out like
Yeah,
that.
Canva's good with that. When you're trying to create a post or something like that, it'll pull out the colors for you from things that you've already added.
Yeah, yeah.
hmm.
No, I think that definitely makes it easier than going through our old PMS books and then ripping out a little square and holding it up to try and see
I
how
still
if
have
it
mine. I
matches.
couldn't throw mine away.
Oh, I can. I do too. They cost tons of money back then too.
Yeah, yeah, for
That was a
sure.
color Bible. Yeah. And then you had to go and make sure you had the right Kelvin lighting
Oh,
um,
right, right.
Oh, yeah.
to look at the color to see if it was the right way under the right light. Yeah, we don't do any of that anymore.
Well,
Who
we
kn-
see the struggle now is trying to match a physical thing to your computer screen, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely. And
that was
people
definitely.
perceive color differently as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I know that like even with, when I look out of one eye, there's a slight difference in color for me. And I, you know, just because I was so trying to be aware of, using my eyes and color and all that kind of stuff. And I just did a little test. I was like, wow, okay, there's a slight difference there. That's interesting.
Well,
So we all
remember,
perceive colors differently.
and remember that dress that was out during I think
Oh,
the pandemic.
right. You mean
Do
the
you
blue one?
yeah, no, the green one. Yeah. It popped up again online and I saw it. I was like, what was the thing there? I was like, so there you go. Whoever saw what.
I just saw that one yesterday. Somebody was holding up a yellow dress and then they started dunking it into blue dye and then pulled it out and it was blue. So forget it. It's not yellow. It is blue.
There you
Right.
go. That's the way it goes. Yeah, it is people perceive it differently, but there is absolute truth because we've all experienced it. When you see something you love and it goes right to your soul and you go, "Oh my God, I love that." That's definitely color and design talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to think of it, it is another design element, right? And
Yes,
so you have everything that you're doing with the shape and texture and whatever, but then color is a design element. And
right.
I like to put intention with everything, So if you have some intention of your piece for it to be vibrant and exciting, you're going to use certain colors. But if you want it to look more somber, you're going to use, other
Right.
colors. That was one of, when I was a graphic designer and I would do logos and things like that. Um, Oftentimes we would, all the time we had a creative brief, and then we would, show the designs to the client, and then the client would say something like, well, why isn't it brighter? We need that logo to be pink or whatever it is. My secretary said it needed to be pink. And I said, well, was your secretary part of the design brief? Because according to what we all agreed on, your company is more serious, and so you need to have a more corporate color, not a pink color, right?
Oh,
But
remember those?
it
Yeah.
gets into the emotion,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, colors are very emotional. And then, but if you do it with intention, then you're going to get, something that is more resonates with, your clients. So,
That is very true, the old client color thing. Since I was a young teen, I loved red and I had everything, back then, anything I could get in red. It wasn't even much of a palette of red, but I loved red. And, it just spoke to me in a way that was very cool. Now I'm more of an orange girl, so I like orange all the time. So I've matured. The door to my home is painted Hermes orange, and I enjoy
ah,
that. So it really does. It's really important in your pieces. It's not something you just go, yeah, I'll just make them green. It won't work that way. I think also to understand more about color, study if it's confusing you or you're afraid of it. Take a real long look and make some notes about what appealed to you that you saw. What did you reach for in the store right away? And then look at the colors and the design of that, how they were. And then you start seeing and understanding more. And the same if you look at something and go, oh my God, that's so ugly. I can't stand that. Why? Those are really good learning examples, I think. And then my biggest thing is if you're unsure, put it down and wait till the morning and look at it with tea or coffee, fresh eyes.
That is such an important tool though in the whole design process is it when you're stuck, maybe you have to put it away for a day or two or a week
We're
or
big, we're
and
big
just leave
fans.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when you come back with fresh eyes, uh yeah, there I see it now.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it?
these ideas need to sort of percolate a lot of times, and sort of you're planting the seed, and then it
Yeah.
starts to grow, and you just have
Yeah.
to allow it to grow and give it
Yeah.
that space and time. And I
Yeah.
don't know, the whole design thing is so fun to me, about
Yeah.
that.
We've been designers our whole life that way, but definitely I think that giving it when you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. I know Patrick and I have talked about this. When you know, you go, oh, that's it. There's no question. It's good.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you're in that place called, I don't know, just walk away for a bit
Hmm.
and it'll resolve and you'll find out what it is. So, but start to experiment, have fun, look around at the things that you love and make some notes about why that appeals to you. But it is a science. It's not just a quick thing that you just pick up, like how to use, I don't know, a tool to carve something out. It's like it's deep. It takes a bit of playing around and learning.
Yeah, yeah, and exposure to it too, but don't
Yes,
be intimidated by,
just yeah, go
that
for
as
it.
well. But
Yeah,
yeah, just go for it and
yeah,
experiment. That's what I like about polymer clay is that, you have all these different colors and you can just do all these sorts of experiments. And when I was starting out in metal clay, we only had silver. And then the browns came out in copper, and we were also excited because we had these
I
additional
bet. Yeah.
palettes that we could use. But with polymer clay, it's like the sky's the limit, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. All right. Well, see, you guys have helped me because what I'm doing next is I'm making a little Christmas present for my son's girlfriend. They have all the fancy jewelry, but I heard her say when they travel, the nervousness about having expensive jewelry, leaving it in a hotel room or something. So I bought a whole bunch of ring blanks and I'm going to fill them all with fun color, resin, and texture so that there's just a bag of some fun rings to just wear when you need something fun and sparkly that you don't have to worry about losing. So that's going to be my next challenge. So you guys have inspired me. It's like I'm just going to start playing around and seeing what I come up with. So,
Well, hopefully
uh,
she won't hear this podcast until after Christmas because now you just blew the
Yeah.
surprise.
I have a feeling that they don't. I don't think, I think listening to my son listening to his mother is probably the last thing on his to-do list.
Right.
As much as he loves me, I don't think it's on his to-do list. So, anyway, well, thank you, artist. Thank you so much, Shelley, for coming on and sharing with
My
us.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Patrick and I love talking to people and carrying on and sharing the word so that other people feel less intimidated or want to play or realize we're all in the same boat and have issues and learning and things. It's not just all pretty in the front, that the behind the scenes has a lot of work to it that we love, and it's all good. So have a happy holiday, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Same
you.
to you.
You too. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.